again to get away from the microphone. There will be some microphones in the audience.
Thank you, Gavin, for your, that was a great presentation. Mr. Reiner mentioned that it's probably going to take a decade or longer to work through all the problems of the crisis. Is there any consensus on when the crisis will bottom? Another year or two, longer than that?
Consensus, no. Several opinions, and it won't be. We have a lot of crises out there. We have residential real estate. We have bank undercapitalization. Right now, we have a very severe liquidity crisis, and that's what the governments around the globe are addressing. That portion of it, the liquidity crisis, is just about off. I think we're close to the corner there. But the other rolling crises that are a result of the excesses of the last decade are going to happen at different times. Real estate, my personal opinion, maybe late next year. We still have oversupply relative to demand, and that supply-demand imbalance gets back into place, then we'll bottom out. But that'll be somewhat regional, even local, in terms of bottoming. Bank capitalization and healthy balance sheets in the financial sector, that also will roll, but it's going to be a while. It's going to take a long time to rebuild the lost capital, unless the stock market comes shooting back and they're able to raise more with equity issuance. And as far as the stock market, who knows?
It was interesting that you said that the last few years in banking, the risk premium had not been factored into loans. How long has that been occurring, and what, in your view, started that or caused that to start happening?
I think the risk premium starts to disappear as loans competition heats up. You get pressure from your stockholders to grow your balance sheet and grow your bottom line. You have to meet those pressures by stretching further and further the yield. And the risk premiums probably were higher after the last, probably in the 80s, during the last crisis. You kind of get a wake-up call and go back to more normal lending. And then as you get further and further away, you forget. You have lenders that haven't been there before. They can't remember the last time it was. They couldn't remember how to collect a loan. They didn't have to collect loans. They forget about that. And so you get away from that memory. And once you get too far away from that memory, then all of a sudden it snaps back.
How will the people who just purchased homes be affected by in the last few weeks? Is there a difference between 6 weeks and now? Is it going to be a negative effect for them? Like the new homeowners, brand new loans, 2 months to now?
It really depends upon the amount that they purchased, the amount of equity they have in the home, and what kind of mortgage loan they got. That's really a key. Those with sufficient down payments and a loan, whether it be fixed or floating, but if they borrowed the right amount relative to their income, they can weather this out. Property values will in fact go up. It's just that property values in general, outside of real GDP and population growth, over a long period of time, property values just can't go up more than that. Yet in the last decade, they went up 100%. Well, we didn't have real GDP and population growth of 100% in the last decade. So they got ahead of themselves, but the supply-demand imbalance will catch up at some point. So if the mortgage is affordable, then no, it's not a problem, and really it's just you have to be patient.
Yeah, and I think too, building on Mike's previous statement about Omaha Council Bluffs kind of being an island, if you're in this area, I think you're probably much more secure than, say, some of the East Coast or West Coast or South Florida. I think there's going to be much more volatility there, but it's much more on the upside of
I will not put you on the spot politically, but let me just ask from the banking point of view, what was your reaction to the idea that there was a needed additional $300 million infusion to buy off these mortgages? McCain's comments in the debate. And I'm not asking for political. Do we need an additional $300 billion in your opinion?
I don't really know that. I don't have a big enough grasp of the entire scope of the problem to know if 300 billion is enough, whether 450 billion is the right number or 100 billion is the right number. I just couldn't tell you.
I would offer an opinion there that it's probably not necessary, but it will speed things up. And the government for a long time has felt almost mandated to make sure as many people as possible can own